welcome back to my channel. How are you guys doing during this quarantine? Or this social distancing? I hope all of you guys are coping well and really just trying to make the best of this. Like I am. I think for me, I've really just been trying to be productive and take it day by day, but I'd have to say that I'm rather enjoying myself. I don't know. I don't really mind. But I don't know. How are you guys doing? How are you guys really coping with this? Anyways, so what I'd like to do today is to drop another story time. So this story time I've actually tried to film like 2 or 3 times, but it just never worked out. So pray that it works out today. Anyways, this story time is actually about time I went to Montreal. I mean, I used to go to Montreal all the time, right? But it's just the time that I met one of my favorite DJs and turned out to be kind of a mess, I guess, right? So anyways, if you're interested in that, then stay tuned. Okay, let's get started. So where do I start? I want to say it was about 5 years ago, 6, 7 years ago. I don't know. It was a while ago. But I used to love to go to Montreal. I always like to go, like where I'm from, there's not so much happening here. And so, I mean, weekends, long weekends, I used to love to go to like Montreal or Toronto or something like that. But Montreal was actually like a good place that I'd love to go like during the summer. So, let me just first give you a backstory. I think that's kind of like why this story has never turned out, because you need the backstory. So the backstory is, my father was a DJ actually growing up. You know, he was on the radio for the longest time, and I just remember, you know, being like really young, and like if I ever had like sleepovers or whatever, we would always go to the radio station. So I grew up at the radio station with my father, you know, a lot of DJs, so I always really appreciated and loved you know, DJs and like music and everything, right? So I am into house music, so I really love house music. Actually, I like all kinds of music, but specifically I really do love house music. So anyways, now I go to Montreal, and it was like Labor Day long weekend. I'm not sure what year this was, but a few years back. So I went to visit my friends, as I usually do, and all excited, and we went to go and see a group called Tribe Called Red. And Tribe Called Red is like a group of DJs. They are amazing, wicked. I saw them already in Calgary perform, and I just love them. So I heard they're gonna be in Montreal. I'm like, hell yeah. So I was going to Montreal, but the thing was, I was going to Montreal for like a few days, and then I was going to New York. And then from New York, I was flying back home to Calgary. So yeah, everything's fine. I went there. I saw my friends, we hooked up, you know, always a good time. It's always good laughs and everything. And we went to go and see the Tribe Called Red somewhere downtown. I don't know where this area is, in like some huge park, beautiful park. And we went to go see Tribe Called Red for free. I had an amazing time, had a couple drinks, everything was cool. And then after the show, we were all just kind of like congregating in this park, talking, you know, they were introducing me to their friends, and, you know, it was all good times, everything's chill. And then all of a sudden, I just kind of looked like to in my peripheral, and I was like, hey, this guy looks familiar, and I couldn't figure out where this guy, you know, where I've seen this face from. And then I kept looking at him, and then I was like, oh, it dawned on me. I'm like, you know what? This is like my favorite DJ. And okay, I don't want to say his name because, you know, I'm not trying to be mean-spirited or anything, but let's call him DJ JJ, okay? So I see DJ JJ, and I was like, no way, like that's him, because like I've always been listening to his mixes. And the thing about it, like I didn't even know where he was from. I thought maybe he's from New York or whatever, because I listened to a lot of, at that time especially, I listened to a lot of DJs on YouTube. So I was like, oh my God. And then I noticed he's coming over closer, and I looked at him, and then turns out the people that I was with knew him. So I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys know him? So I just kind of like busted open. I was like, hey, I'm like, DJ JJ, like I love you, I love your mixes, you know, and I just started like, you know, chatting it up with him. And he was like, oh, you know, thank you so much. You know, we just started talking, and I was telling him like how, like, cause I like acid jazz, and he has like this wicked like acid jazz mix. Jill Scott, like he mixes like neo soul in with like house music, and it's just like, oh, it's so good. So I was so excited. I'm like, what the hell? Like Montreal is the craziest place, and I couldn't believe that I met my favorite DJ there. So now we're here in the park and we're all just kind of like, talking to each other. And before you know it, like, I just get into some deep conversation because you know what, that's just me. Like, I'm that type of person that like, I can talk to anyone. Like, I grew up, it's another thing, being in the music industry, like we had World Music Festival called Africa Day. So I was the hospitality coordinator for Africa Day. So I dealt with a lot of artists. Pretty much like, I dealt with all artists, like in that sense, professionally, pretty much my whole adult life. And then since I was like a kid, like I've always just been, around artists from different parts of the world, high profile, low profile, all kinds of artists that I've just been around. So I wasn't that phased, you know what I mean, to like meet somebody of that. Like, he's a pretty big, like he at that time had about like 1 million subscribers on YouTube, and it's just YouTube, right? So I never looked at YouTube like it's, any kind of, I never looked at YouTubers like they're celebrities or anything. So anyways, I just felt really comfortable to talk to him, like it's like, it just felt like as soon as I had met him, like immediately it was just like, he was just a normal person. Like, I just started talking to him. I don't even know what we were talking about. We've gotten into some deep conversation. And then before you know it, then, the night was kind of getting a little bit late. So we're just like, oh, okay, like, we're just gonna like head on, whatever, I don't even know where we were going after. So we started walking, and before you know it, like, he's walking with us, and, we're just like a group, maybe like 8 of us or something, just walking and talking. And then, again, I don't know how I get into these conversations with people, but I do. I just feel so free, so comfortable. And he was really, really nice to me. And, he was just so open to me being like a fan of his music. So before you know it, like, he was like, oh, what are you guys doing Saturday? So it must have been like Thursday or Friday night. I want to say maybe it was a Thursday night that I was there. And he said on the Friday, I believe, that he was spinning at W Hotel. I'm like, no way. He's like, yeah. He's like, you guys drink? I'm like, yeah, we drink. He's like, well, I don't drink. So why don't you guys come be my special guest, and you guys will get like VIP service. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, the W Hotel, I'm gonna get to see you spin live. Like, I was so excited. So I'm like, oh my God. I asked my friends, I'm like, hey guys, you guys want to come? We're like, yeah, okay. So we're like, yeah, we're gonna do it. So he's like, okay, sure, I'll put you guys on the guest list, and I'll see you tomorrow. So we were so excited. I'm like, oh my gosh. And then I was like, you know what? I don't know how this conversation came. I was like, you know what? I'm going to New York in a few days. He's like, New York? He's like, oh, I spin there all the time. And I'm like, I know. Because obviously, like, I listen to his music all the time. And yeah, so he was like, I love New York. I'm like, okay, well, why don't you come? I think that's how it happened, because I'm just guessing at this point. I don't really know how it happened, but we just decided that, yeah, we're all gonna go to New York the following day. So I think it must have been the Saturday that we decided that we're gonna go to New York. Friday, we were gonna go to the W Hotel and watch him spin. And then the Saturday, he's like, oh my gosh, like, you know what? I got a Mini Cooper. I can drive to New York. He's like, do you drive standard? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I was the only one out of the group that, drove standard. He's like, great. So you can help me drive. I'm like, yeah. So everything was cool. So I'm like, oh my God, this is like the best long weekend ever. This is like the best, like in the books. Like, are you kidding me? This is like the best Labor Day long weekend ever. So now the next day comes. So we're like so excited. We're like, oh my God. I mean, maybe I was more excited than them because this is my favorite house DJ. I won't say it's my favorite DJ altogether, but this is my favorite house DJ. My current favorite DJ is DJ Tony Soul. You guys should check him out. He's crazy. He's so good. So anyways, so the next day we're like, go to W Hotel. I was so excited. Like, I'm watching this guy all the time, like on YouTube. I'm like, I'm actually listening to his neo soul mixes and his like acid jazz mixes. I'd be like, take a bath and listen to his mixes. I think that's what I was telling him too. Like, I'm like, oh my God, I'm always like in the bath and put on your mixes and it's so good. And anyway, so we get to the hotel. And this, by the way, anybody knows about W Hotel, it's a beautiful, like 5-star. I think it's like obviously a 5-star hotel, beautiful hotel. And we get there, and immediately I start hearing like the house music, and I was like, what? Okay. So we walk in, and then where he was spinning was upstairs, obviously, because we can hear the music. So we just kind of like led our way to the music, and then of course I'm like, yeah, like dancing, like all excited. I'm like, yeah, man, like I can hear that music, like, he's gonna be up there spinning. So we go upstairs, and where he was spinning, and then he heard the music. So I was like, okay, the music's going, but I don't hear him. So I'm like, oh, okay. We're all just kind of looking at each other like, oh, okay, well maybe this is like the pre-recording because, you know, he's gonna come in and, you know, start, you know, doing his stuff, right? Maybe he needs to set up, maybe we're early or whatever. And so we were just like being polite, you know, and next thing you know, it's like, oh, we saw him and he's like, oh, okay, he had a place for us to sit and everything. We're like, oh, nice, you know, we sit. And then they gave us a drink menu. It was beautiful, like, you know, nice menu that they gave us, and, you know, really made us feel special. So we were just like, oh, okay, you know, like feeling really special at the time. So now I'm like, okay, so he comes and greets us and then asks us what we want to drink, and we order our drinks and everything, and we're all just, you know, just sitting there all kind of like giddy, excited. And then I was like, you know, waiting for him to start spinning his music because, you know, he's a DJ. So I'm like, okay, so he talked to us for a while and I was just like, okay, get on with it, like, you know, like, okay, like keeping our conversations short because I didn't want to, you know, when DJs, you know, spin, like you don't want to just go and start telling them your life story. You think, you know, for me, you want to just say, hi, how are you doing? I love what you're doing. Good night, whatever. And then let them go and work because they got to work. They, you know, DJs are slaving over there, out here. So now our drinks come and everything. And as our drinks come, we noticed that some other girls came too as well. And they were being seated just like us. And they were just kind of seated along beautiful, beautiful women. And they were seated, you know, just kind of across us, and they got the same service. And he goes over to their table and, you know, talks to them. We're like, oh, okay. And so it was just us and them that were seated. We were just like, all right, like, you know. So he just kind of like sitting with them, and then, you know, after he finished sitting with them, like our drinks had already been there, so we were already drinking, and he comes back to our table. So I'm like, why are you coming back? Like, don't you need to be at the DJ booth to go and get the, you know, the party started? Because this is like pre-recording, right? So he goes by the DJ booth, and then next thing you know, he's like, he calls my friend to the table. He's like, oh, come over here. And my friend's like, okay, right? So she goes over to the DJ booth. I don't know what they're talking about. So I'm just kind of talking with my other friend. And then she comes back. And then she's like, oh, he wants to talk to you. I'm like, okay. So I go there, and by the way, when they go up, I saw them taking pictures and whatever, and I was like, okay. So she's like, oh, he wants to talk to you, and I'm like, okay. So I go up there, and he's like, you know, talk to me. Oh, you know, hope you guys are like having a good time. You know, I'm like, yeah, it's a good time. Like, you know, thanks for inviting us. He's like, oh, okay. Do you want a picture? I'm like, okay. Okay, one thing about me too is it doesn't matter. I don't care who you are, celebrities. I'm not one to take pictures, especially at that time. Now I kind of try. If I see like a celebrity or somebody I really admire, I might take a picture, but I'm not one to be like, hey, you know, let's take a picture. That's just not my style. That's never been me. It's just like, I'm a fan of your music. I don't really care to show anybody proof that I met that person or that I've been associated with that person. That's just never been my style. But I'm like, okay. So now we're at the DJ booth taking pictures. I'm like, all right. So, you know, of course, again, at the same time, I'm like keeping the conversation short because I wanted him to set up. And I'm like, where's the gear? Like, I thought, shouldn't he have turntables or a laptop, something? I think he might have had like a laptop or something. But I'm like, where's the rest of your stuff? Like, I always thought DJs had stuff. I don't know much about it, but like, shouldn't you have things there? Like, I don't know. But he just had a laptop, and that was it. So I come sit down. I was like waiting. And then next thing you know, the girls from the other table go up. And I'm like, what the hell is this? And they go up and they take pictures, one after the other, take pictures. And so we're sitting there, and then I'm like, oh, this is kind of strange. I'm like, I need to use the bathroom. So I go to the bathroom, and then my friends are like, oh, let's go to the bathroom too. So we go back downstairs, use the washroom. And then we're all just like, what the hell is going on? Like, he's not spinning any music. Like, this is just like pre-recording. Like, what is this? And we're all just like, I know, right? So we're like, maybe let's, you know, give him a chance. Like, I don't know what this is. Like, maybe he's going to start. So we go back upstairs, finish our drinks, order more drinks, and guy's still not spinning. It's still the pre-recording. And he's just standing by a DJ booth, like, cool guy. Like, you know, oh, come over here, you know, like, yeah, come here. Come, you know, let's take pictures, you know. And we're like, we're not here for pictures. Like, shoot, I want to see my favorite DJ spin. Anyways. So it turns out the whole entire night, this is what he does. He doesn't spin music, and we stayed there till 1:30, 1:45. We're like, you know what, guy, like, this is turning into something that just seems like we're not a part of. Like, we're not groupies. We're not interested. All of us are taken. Like, you know, I don't know what, you know, maybe it was a miscommunication, but like, we're not into like just being like fans in that sense. Like, I like his music. I wanted to see him spin, but the whole night he just didn't spin. So by 2 o'clock, by like 1:45, we're just like, yeah, we kind of got a long way to go. And the next morning we were leaving to New York. So we're like, okay. So I was kind of turned off, you know, not like completely turned off, but I was confused, because I'm like, you know what? Like, when we left, all of us, me and my two girlfriends, were like talking. We're like, you know what? Because that was weird, because like, we know DJs. And when DJs, when you go and see a DJ, they're working. They're like, you know, spinning, you know, doing their stuff. They don't have time to be like, yeah, let's take pictures. Yeah, man, like, come over here, mama. They don't have time for that. They're working. So if I ever go somewhere and I want to go and support one of my DJ friends, I'm going to go there. Maybe I won't even say hi. Maybe I'll just be like, hey, you know, doing good. You know, that's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to go there and start telling them my life story or anything, because they don't have time. They're working, right? Mistake me if I'm wrong. I don't know what. Like, this is my experience. I know quite a lot of DJs. My father's a DJ. Like, I grew up in a radio station, for crying out loud. Do DJs not work? Anyways, fine. We're like, let's just go home. I expected to be there till like 2:30. I expected to be like dance, but it wasn't dancey. The W Hotel is kind of like a classy type of place, so it wasn't like that type of place where you're like really, you know, tearing it up or anything. It was just kind of like, oh, you know, we're just bouncing. You know what? I don't have time for bouncing my head. I want to tear it up. I want to dance. This is house music. Let's get it started. But it wasn't that kind of scene. He was just there, press play, and was like, yeah, look at me. And I'm like, I'm not part of that. Anyway, so I'm like, you know what? We're going to New York in the morning, so this is going to be fantastic. So we left, and we're like, let's just get to bed. We're going to be in New York. I convinced, by the way, I forgot to tell you, I convinced my friends to come. They had no plan to go to New York. I was supposed to go to New York, to Montreal, stay there a couple days, and then go to New York, and then fly out of New York. And then I just convinced them, like, guys, please, please, please come to New York. And they're just like, I don't know. I'm like, come on. Like, I'm a very spontaneous person, so I'm trying to get them along in my spontaneous lifestyle, and they did, thank God, great people. So we're like, yeah, so morning, we're gonna go to New York. So before we left, we were, you know, discussed, okay, we'll call you in the morning, because he knew we had an early morning. We were supposed to leave around 7 o'clock, and he was supposed to pick us up around 6:30 in his Mini Cooper. So we're like, oh, okay. So we go home, get to sleep. And in the morning, he calls us around 6 o'clock in the morning. He's like, yeah, I'll be there around 5:30. And by the way, I don't know how did I manage? Somehow I managed, because I heard that he told us that he loves chocolate. So I was like, you know what, just because he's driving us to New York, like, I'm gonna get him his favorite thing. So we got him chocolate. We were so excited. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is gonna happen. We're gonna go to New York with my favorite DJ, my favorite house DJ, like, you know, we're like fist bumping, like, oh my God, anything can happen. I'm like, you know, you just have to, you know, believe, and anything can happen, because you might just go on a road trip with your favorite house DJ. Like, oh my God, I was so excited for this trip. So morning comes, he picks us up. We had the chocolate. We were so, like, we didn't sleep very much, but I mean, we didn't care, because I was like, we can sleep on the way there or whatever. So we get there, he drives first, or he comes pick us up around 7 o'clock, he drives first. And of course, you know, it's early in the morning, so there's no music. So I'm not expecting to be like, you know, any pumping music, but you know, I was just like, oh, I don't know, I'm so excited to hear his playlist. Like a DJ, because when I'm telling you, let me just back up here. Anybody that has been on a road trip with me, this girl here, anybody can vouch for me. If you've ever been on a road trip with me, you better expect some dancing. Not necessarily, you know what I mean? If I'm driving, I'll probably be getting down like that. I'm probably driving like that, you know? But you gotta expect some music. I got my playlist. I don't play around. I don't F around when it comes to road trip music. I got my playlist. I want to hear other people's playlists. There's going to be some singing. There's going to be some, you know, craziness, some bacchanal going on in my car or whoever's car. Like, I have epic road trips, okay? Like, I love road trips. I love to travel. I don't care if it's by a plane, by a train, by an automobile. I love to travel and I love road trips. And so I'm like, this is just the craziest thing. This is going to be a story for the books. I'm going to be able to tell, you know, my grandchildren this story that I got to go on a road trip with my favorite DJ and oh my God, and all the music that we're going to listen to. So now, okay, we go. An hour gets in, no music, you know. So I was like, you know, cool. It's early in the morning. Like, you know, who wants to, normally if it's early in the morning, I might, you know, put something a little bit light on, but you know, it's okay. I'll let that stuff slide, you know. 2 hours comes, no music. I was like, okay, we're all just kind of, I was in the front seat, by the way. I was like, okay, there's no music, it's been 2 hours. So I was like, okay, anytime now. Now it's like, you know, it's like 9:30 coming, and I was like, 9:30, there's still no music. So I'm like looking in the back at my friends, you know, we're driving, I'm just looking at them like, where's the music, you know? So 10 o'clock rolls around now, still no music. So I was like, JJ, and by the way, he's French, obviously. He's Rwandese or from Rwanda. He's like, yes. I was like, where's your playlist? He's like, oh, my playlist? I'm like, yeah. He's like, oh, actually, I don't listen to music in the car. I'm like, oh, okay, but you listen to music on the car when you do road trips, right? He's like, no music in the car. Oh, hell no! No, I thought he was joking with me. Because I'm like, no music in the car? He's like, no, I don't listen to music at all. I don't know, I just think that, you know, it's, you know, just gonna mess with the mood. I was like, okay. I thought, well, how about the radio? He's like, no, I don't like sound. I don't like, I was like, so this road trip is 6 hours. We're going to stay in the car for 6 hours from Montreal to New York City with no music in the car. Okay, so it took me a while. I had to like really like compose myself. Like, what did I just get myself into? What did I just get myself into? How are we gonna take a road trip with a DJ, a house DJ at that, with no music? How is that even humanly possible? I was like, I turned back and my friends were looking at me. I was looking at them like, we're in a lot. Because this guy, by the way, he likes to talk. And he doesn't just like to talk a little bit. He likes to talk a lot. So I was like thinking, oh shoot, so if there's no music, then what are we going to do? I'm thinking, and this guy likes to talk. And I'm not what I mean, if I'm on a plane, I'm not a chatty person, you know what I mean? Like, there's a time and a place when I want to talk. And it's not on a road trip much. I mean, you can have small little, you know, reminiscing or something on a road trip. In a plane, I do not talk. If I'm traveling by myself on a plane, I don't care who's next to me on either side. I don't care. I will put in my earphones and listen to music. I will do my work. I will read. I will do whatever it is. I'll watch movies, but I don't want to talk. Like, I'll talk whenever I get to my destination, but talking is just not my thing when I'm traveling. And this guy likes to talk a lot. So here we are going on a road trip. We're already in the midst of this road trip with this DJ that doesn't like music in the car, that doesn't spin live music, and that likes to talk instead. So I was like, okay. And I'm in the front seat. So this guy talked and talked and talked and talked. It was 4 hours in, this guy's talking, and one story after the next, talking about his bike and how he likes to ride his bike all over the place and all the different places he's been on his bike and all the stuff, his t-shirt, and talking about his chocolate and talking and talking and talking. I was like, we're not gonna make it. At one point I felt like, you know what, just drop me off here. I felt like I didn't think I was even gonna make it. When we stopped somewhere, I don't even know where we stopped, and we switched so that, you know, we went to the bathroom and we were going to switch. So anyways, I go to the bathroom, we all went to the bathroom, and I guess my friends came in to the car before me. And when they came into the car before me, this guy, DJ JJ, has enough nerve to tell my friends about how he doesn't like black girls. Now, I wish I would have heard him say this, but he says this when in my absence, when I'm not even there to even hear him say, oh, I don't like black girls. Like, who cares? I don't care if you don't like black girls, white girls, dinosaurs. I don't care who you like. You're not, you know, my friends are taken, they're a lesbian couple. Nobody cares what you like or what you don't like. We're not here like I'm, you know, like in a relationship. I don't care who you like or what you don't like. Nobody cares, so why does he have to throw in all of a sudden, you're a black man? So in Canada we have these type of black men, but you're black as black can get, but you're talking about, oh, I don't like black women. Like, I don't care, we're not, you know, groupies, we're not interested in you, we're not anything. So now I start driving, and it was a smooth ride anyways, I'll say. In complete silence. We get to New York. And by the time we got to New York, we were so tired. Now, me and my two girlfriends, we had our own hotel, and he was supposed to go with some boat girl. He was staying with some girl on a boat. And he said later on the night that, you know, he had he had a nightclub or whatever that he was going to get us tickets. So we're like, okay, let's just, you know, we're going to get in, and then we're going to rest up in our hotel, change, whatever, eat, and then we'll call you a bit later. So he's like, oh, but boat girl, we get there. He's like, boat girl is not available. So I'm going to come. Can I come like chill at your hotel for a bit? So we're just like, oh, okay. So this DJ JJ, now, if he didn't talk enough for 6 hours, now he wants to come to our hotel and start chatting it up. Now he's there chatting it up. And we're just like, when we're sitting there on our bed, like, uh-huh. Yeah. Uh-huh. 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 And this guy's not even self-aware. Okay? He didn't even notice that we were just like pretty much sleeping, and like we couldn't even take his talking anymore. So anyways, finally boat girl answers the phone, and he's like, oh, I have to go. And we're just like, oh, really? But we're like thinking, yes, like finally this guy is like gonna leave. So he leaves, and we were just exhausted. I just remember it really put me in a bad mood, if anything. I just started feeling like, because when somebody just, you know, like too much in your ear, especially when we're like, you know, in a car, we're like, you know, captured passengers, and this guy's just chatting for 6 freaking hours. And by the time we got there, we were just exhausted. And I think we tried to like go out, you know, go to eat, you know, so we went to go find something to eat, but I was just so exhausted. And this guy calls later and was just like, oh yeah, I'm not gonna go to the club anymore. And we're like, oh, okay. And the whole weekend, I mean, it was okay, but I was just thinking, the good thing that we're gonna stay there for like 2 or 3 nights. I think we were there for about 2 or 3 nights. I was flying back home, and my friends had to drive back with this weirdo back to Montreal. You know, we made the best of it in New York. We went to the Caribbean Festival or whatever they have over there in Brooklyn. That was cool. We didn't see him the whole time. Actually, I never saw him again. Yeah, I never saw him again, actually. Thank God. But my friends had, you know, told me what he said about me, like what he said about black girls. And it's like, the funny thing is, my friend's girlfriend, she herself is like half black. So I don't know what he's trying to prove to say, oh, I don't like black girls. Like, okay, I don't like you. But I don't like black girls. We don't care who you like or who you don't like. Excuse me, my button popped. I want to give you all a peep. So we're just like, I don't know, I'm not even feeling this guy. Unfollowed him, unsubscribed, and like, yeah, I don't know. I don't like fake DJs. I'm not a groupie, never have been, never will be a groupie. You know, I'm a very friendly person. I'm very approachable, and I just talk to people, and I never get that, you know, phased or whatever that, like, you know, somebody's like, you know, in a bigger position. Even if I'm like a fan, I'm a fan of their music, but I strongly understand that, you know, people are people at the end of the day. They still have to pay their bills. They still want their money, and they're business people at the end of the day. So I know, you know, I treat anybody with a high profile just like I would treat any other person, and I, you know, hold them up to that same standard. So at the end of the day, didn't like him at all, and I was really disappointed because I'm like, I really like the music, and I still do like the music. You know, the moral to the story that I would say is that yeah, you have to just get to know people for who they are. You can't just believe just because they're on YouTube that they're authentic or that they are who they say they are. Maybe he doesn't, I don't know, maybe he's, I don't know, maybe he's, he really doesn't like music, and it's just, you know, it's a, you know, artists can be strange. Artists can, you know, when you're performing your art or sharing your art, I understand that, how it can be deeply personal. So maybe he could be just like that. You never know. But for me, you know, the DJs that I do know, and my father, you know, growing up, radio station, I get it's just different, right? But even if you see like DJs perform live, I've always just seen them working. Always. That was the first and the last time actually that I've ever seen a press and play DJ. I've just never seen something like that. So the moral of the story is, yeah, get to know people for who they really are, and judge them accordingly. And at the end of the day, we didn't like him. But I would have to say, I don't want to throw him under the bus. I still do listen to his music, still to this day. He's got a great following. He's got millions of followers. Would never want to knock that, so that's why I would never say his name. We do appreciate that, you know, he volunteered to bring us to New York, which was really nice. Although he talked and didn't play music, but we really do appreciate that experience that we had. And yeah, so that's just what I'll say. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed my story time about the time that I met my favorite DJ and went to New York. Hope you learned something, and I hope you're going to be able to cope well during this quarantine, this self distancing. I don't know, I'm very optimistic that this won't last much longer, and just hang in there, and I hope to entertain you with my videos. So subscribe and have a great day, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!